Hello, everyone. Oh, let me let Mr. Matt in.
Hey there, it's Matt from Future Makers. How are you?
Good.
Now, my video has been started. Yay! Okay, great. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Matt, you can only see me right now, but we have a great group of kids here, and I know we're going to have more joining us online. So we are super excited.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've got a bunch of folks attending. Fantastic. And I hope that we're ready to make crankies. I hope that's what we're doing. Is that what we're doing?
What we're doing.
Okay, great. Yay. Okay, get your snacks. I have this kind of snacks as well as this kind of snacks. So you're going to need fuel, whatever you need to do. We just finished up a play lab here. We test and invent new things with young people and caregivers and parents and family members, teachers, and we just finished up a super top secret play lab for an incredibly awesome, really amazing thing that's getting made soon. So I'm really excited, and I'm also really excited to talk about cranky contraptions tonight. So we're going to be storytelling with stuff. Get ready.
All right, Coach Matt.
Okay, great. It's just about 6:30, and I think we're all here for something new. So my name is Coach Matt. I work with Future Makers. We're a team of coaches that explore how materials can be turned into playful experiences. So making stuff that makes fun, and while we're making the fun, we're learning how things work. Today, we're going to be inventing a machine that's designed and built to tell a story. It uses very, very simple materials, and it uses a mechanism that at first doesn't seem very intuitive. And by intuitive, I mean something that just sort of, I understand it when I see it, but soon I think you'll really understand how simple it is to tell a story with a screen. I'll be sharing my screen during this time together, and I'll do my very best to watch the chat. Unfortunately, I can't always see the chat right away, but I'll be sure to stop and look every once in a while. And because the way this visit works, we're not going to all have our cameras and microphones on, just like we had explained to us a minute ago. So understand that this is being recorded and it will be played back. No one will be identified, like that was already clarified. But we are going to need to move at a pace that allows a little bit of maybe I don't knows to happen. As long as you're okay with that, I think it's time to get started. Now, if you're like most people, you already have opened a bag. Yours might be a paper bag. Mine happens to be in a plastic bag. And inside the bag, we all have the same kind of stuff. In your bag, you have a guide. The guide is really helpful because basically you don't need me. You have a guide right here that can walk you through without any words how this can be built. And just by looking at your guide, take a minute and see, where does the story go in this machine? Take a minute and look at the guide. It's going to help you quite a bit. The words are at the top here, but everything else is just numbers and illustrations. Along with your guide, in your bag, you're going to have a sheet of paper. This piece of paper is actually a really long sheet of paper, and it's been designed so it can be read like a scroll. We're going to turn this long sheet of paper into a scroll. You can set that aside. You probably have one or even two of these sets of stickers. The stickers are going to help us quite a bit. If you only have one set, you already have an extra sticker to play with. If you happen to have two, fantastic. We'll use those if you need them. In your bottom of your bag, you probably have two tubes. If either of your tubes are missing, or if you don't have either of them at all, pencils work, pens work, anything tube-like will work. So these are going to be important to make our scroll move. And also, last but not least, there's this big piece of cardboard. The cardboard might have something that fell out the middle of it. Those are probably in the bag. Mine fell out. It's two little pieces of cardboard. You can hold on to these and I'll show you where they work. This is where we're going to start. This rectangle is awfully familiar. It sort of is the same shape as this. This we scroll on all the time. We've learned that you can scroll this way or you can scroll this way. Well, we're going to make something that you could scroll to, but instead of using your fingers, we're going to make a mechanism. Now that we've got all of our stuff, take another quick look that you've got your two tubes, your cardboard piece, stickers, you might have one or two sets, a long piece of paper. If you don't have your long piece of paper, these are exactly the same length as a letter-sized piece of paper. This is 11 inches by 3.5. And you can stick long pieces of paper together to make your own scroll if you want. And last but not least, your guide. I'm going to start sharing my screen now. Here we go. I think I want to share this part. Then I want to share this part. And then I want to share this part. And that, I think, gets us where we need to go. Cranky contraptions are a way of telling a story with a machine. We're going to make a machine that helps us tell a story. The story is being told using pictures. Now, the animation here is going backwards and forwards. And if you notice, there's something happening in this animation. There's a plant. Before it, there's the sun and some water in a pot. And before that, there's a pot with a seed inside. One direction shows watering the seed turns into a plant. The other direction goes backwards. So this story is told in one direction. So how does that work? Well, if you looked at the back of the machine, you could see a scroll. Now, I know I'm using the word machine, but really this is a machine. It's a mechanism. It's a scroll inside of a frame. The scroll has two handles. So we're going to need to build the frame before our scroll. Let's go ahead and start by building our frame. When you're building your frame, you're going to be doing folding and locking of pieces together. I'm going to show you an illustrated view and then a video example. So if you'd like, you have two different things that you could follow along with, your guide or what you see here on the screen. But be sure that when we fold parts together, that flaps lock into place. For example, it starts out completely flat. We're going to fold up the ends that don't have lots of holes in them first. Those are the shorter ends. Those short ends are designed to fold up and lock into place. So you fold up the short flaps and you leave the tabs that have little holes in them sticking out. If you look closely, first we're going to fold the ends up and lock those tabs in. But we're going to leave the, lock the flaps in, but we're going to leave the tabs sticking out. Now again, illustrations don't necessarily show exactly how it's done. So we're going to take our time and do this together and look at a video in a minute that'll help reinforce what we're doing. We're ultimately going to be folding our sides, the long sides, over the tabs. And it locks it in like that. We're trying to create a box that looks like this. I'll go back. We're going to start flat and fold up the short flaps. We're going to leave the tabs that have the holes in them out. The very ends of those flaps get snapped into place, and then the sides get folded over them. Everything locks together. Here's a double check. Here's the whole piece. That gets snapped. Then that gets snapped. The tabs get folded in, and then the sides get folded over the tabs. So all the holes are aligned. If you notice, there's holes in those pieces. All the holes line up. I'll play it one more time. Here we go. To make the frame, we take the short ends and fold them up, snap them in, but leave the tabs with the holes out. We fold the tabs in and then take our long sides and line all the holes up and snap them in. That way you have your frame. That's it. So far, we've made a frame. The frame starts out looking like this. You might need to punch a bunch of holes out. I'll do that to mine now. And now that I've seen this a couple of ways, I think I can fold and fold and snap and snap. Then I can fold my tabs in, fold over, and snap it into place right there. Those snap right like that. They all snap together. Last one on top, fold it over, lock them in, and snap it into place. Snap, snap. You should be able to look through the holes and see light all the way through. 2 holes here, 2 holes here. Now, what do we do with this? This frame sort of looks like part of our cranky. Like we see on the back, it sort of matches up. So I'm going to go ahead and jump back in. There's a couple of questions in the chat. So right now, looks like actually these are all just people saying hello. Well, I guess there's not a couple of questions in the chat. Big thumbs up, way to go. Let's dive back in. Here we go. So the paper scroll. The scroll is the part that we're going to use to tell the story. Unfold that paper and find the sticker spots. The sticker spots are printed. They say, attach sticker here. They say it in Spanish and English. The sticker goes on that spot along with the tubes. If you notice, that sticker goes right in there and then you put a tube on it too. Once the tubes are on, you roll them up, and we're going to roll it into a scroll. I'm going to show you an example here in a second that shows how the scroll is rolled. This is where we're going to add a story. And really, the biggest part of our project is going to happen after we're done together. Because telling the story takes time to design. So we're going to make our machine first. Think about what kind of story could you tell with this machine? We're going to go ahead and just double check. I want to show you how this gets installed, and then we'll double check how to make. So this is the scroll that someone has put a story on. It has been rolled up. The tubes have been attached to the sticker spots. And then these snap into place. Push it through, bend a little, and snap it into place. In order to get there, we need to make our scroll. So I'm going to suggest that we take a minute and make sure that we're doing this correctly. Then we'll tell our story. Because in order to insert this together, we're going to need to make it work right the first time. So let me show you how this works for me. I've got my scroll paper. I found where it says sticker goes here. I'm going to peel a sticker. And you've probably already done this. This is probably already done. But peel a sticker, attach it. It's close enough. And then I'm going to put my tube, this paper straw, right in the middle of the sticker. See how it's pretty even on both sides? There's about the same amount here as there is there. That's going to help. I can then just start to roll the scroll. That's going to squeeze the sticky stuff onto the scroll. Roll it tight. I'm going to roll it up. I'll go all the way to the other end. Here comes the other end. And while I'm doing it, I'm trying to keep it lined up so it isn't all going off the end. Rolling it up, rolling it up, rolling it up. On the outside, you see the lines that's on the paper. On the inside, it's blank. Rolling it up until I get to the other end, all the way to here. That's when I'm going to attach my other sticker. Attach, sticker, attach sticker here, put it right where it says. And as soon as I let go, you'll see this starts to become like a scroll. It's rolled up in one direction. Now I'm going to go the other way. Line it up in the middle. This is where our machine is really going to become a machine. And now I'm going to roll the opposite direction. I'm keeping this super tight as I roll it up. The looser it is, the more likely that your stickers might come unstuck. And if they do, you have extra stickers. And if you run out of stickers, tape works too. I'm going to go all the way to the other side and start rolling into the other side of the scroll. This is making my paper super rolly. I want really rolly paper. Okay, so now I've got a scroll. This is designed to go inside my box. Let's take another look at installing it in the box. Here we go. In order to make our straws and parts fit into those openings, I'm going to suggest do one side then the other. So maybe both of the tops and then both the bottoms. Look at this video one more time. This scroll has a drawing on one side of it, and the drawing is on the outside where the lines are. You don't have anything drawn yet. Maybe you do, but you don't need to have anything on yours. Not yet. Both the tops go in, and then one by one, the bottoms. Straighten out the paper, and now you're set. So I'll do that on mine. Frame. Top. Stretch. Snap. Notice that you can see the inside of the paper and the line is on the outside. It's going to be facing this side. Tube, stretch together. Now, mine did something unexpected. Do you see how the corner of mine broke? we send along at least 1/3 sticker for a reason. This is for emergencies. Whenever I demonstrate, I do it on purpose. A lot of people end up tearing their stuff. Boom, boom, fixed. Super easy to fix. Again, tape works too, but hey, you got some, so there you go. On the inside, I have a way of rolling up my scroll. If I turn this here, you can see the paper starts moving from one tube to the other. Soon, I'll have the whole scroll on this side. The question is, what do we do with this? How do we get this to tell a story? Easy. We need to think about how a story is told. Let me share a couple ideas about telling a story with you. So stories, yeah, maybe this is important. The feet. These pieces here are feet, these extra bits, and you can see that they can hook on the bottom of the frame and make it stand up. It's not super critical, but it can stand up, and I'll demo that in a little bit. It can also stand tall instead of sideways, sort of like a cell phone. It can be vertical or horizontal when you scroll. So to build it is one thing. To tell the story is another. So we need to think about how you want to tell your story. Before we dive too deep, understand that you have at least two ways of telling your story. You can tell a story as a first, next, last, or you can tell your story as a something happens, how does it get resolved? In this story, what happens first and what happens last? Well, take a look, just take a look for a second. The way that we're reading it is from the left to the right. Other cultures read stories from the right to the left. Some cultures read stories from the top to the bottom. But this one happens to be told left, middle, right. What happens first? Seed is planted in the pot. In the middle, seed is watered, there is some sun, and on the right, the seed grows. So this is a sequence. And if you want to share a sequence, I'd suggest sketching each step in the sequence on a piece of scrap paper before going right onto your scroll. It always helps to just sort of draw what happens first, what happens next, what happens last on a scrap piece of paper. That way, when you move over to illustrate on your scroll, you're really set. And you can draw with anything you'd like on your scroll. It could be a marker, a pencil, a pen, watercolor, doesn't really matter. Now, if you're telling a real story, not just a sequence where there's a character and a setting, you want to do that on scratch paper too, because we want to think about, well, what happens to this character and where is it taking place? This is on the mild to spicy scale. This is more on the medium to spicy approach. And typically, if you have a character and you have sort of a setting, something happens, like a plot. And usually in a plot, something happens that needs to change, a conflict and a resolution, how that conflict is resolved. So we're going to go ahead and think for a minute. This is just going to be a stop and think. Stop and think. Are you going to be making a story with your scroll that is a sequence? First, next, last. Or are you really going to be telling a story with a character or characters in a setting, and there's something that happens to them, some sort of conflict, and then a resolution? I'll give you an example. If we need to tell a sequence, well, I think that it's sort of like making a sandwich, specifically making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. First, I can visualize the peanut butter, the jelly, the knife, the bread. Might make a picture of that. Then, knife, spreading the peanut butter on a piece of bread. Maybe there's jelly already on the other piece of bread. The bread is laying out on a plate. And then, last picture, Sandwich, maybe with a big old bite taken out of it. That's enough information to say how to make this sandwich. But if you're really telling a story, that not a sequence, making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich could be a story. Maybe we need to make it a story. So there is a peanut butter and jelly sandwich sitting on a plate, wondering, why am I here? Why do I exist? I suddenly arrived on this plate. Is this a plate? I don't understand. And then all of a sudden, a cat walks by, sniffs the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, picks up the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and drops it out the window. Now we have a problem. How do we resolve this problem? First scene, peanut butter jelly sandwich, little thought bubbles going, why do I exist? Second part of the scene, cat walks by, picks it up, drops it out the window. Third, how do we resolve this? Well, like any peanut butter and jelly sandwich would, magically transforms into a butterfly and floats away. I mean, that's what most falling peanut butter and jelly sandwiches do. So if that's going to be your story, it has sort of a beginning, middle, and end, but it also has a character. You're going to have to draw it falling out the window. That's a place. We have a conflict, and then we have a resolution. Interesting. Let's go back to just one other thing that I think is important to check in on. Sequence is not a story. Stories have sequences, but a sequence isn't a story. Sequence is a first, next, last. The story has characters, a place where the story takes place, which is the setting, and some sort of conflict and resolution, something that happens to the characters that needs to get resolved. In order to complete our Crankie build, you'll need to uninstall your scroll. And when you're ready, after you've made your sketches, draw that on your scroll. So your scroll has two sides. My scroll has a side that has lines on it. The lines are the side where we want to draw. And that's the first side. You can draw, oops, there we are. Sorry, I disappeared for a second there. You can draw on the side without the lines, but it will only show on the inside of your Crankie. So wherever you see the lines, that's your guide to keep your picture in between. If you decide to tell your story sideways like this, you're going to draw it maybe here, then here, then here. If you want to tell your picture, your story going up or down, that's a little easier to choose. You just need to figure out where on what end of the scroll is your start and your end. Otherwise, you might end up telling the story backwards. That's it. This machine is only as exciting as the story you decide to tell. And I can't tell you what story to make. I've given you a couple of examples, one that's a little exceptionally weird. And I've also shared some pro tips on how to build the frame and design the scroll so it fits well into the frame and so you can move it. Other information can be found right here in this guidebook. We've hit almost the end of our time together. I'm happy to stick around for a couple of minutes and answer any questions that you want to type into the chat. Take a minute and think, and I'll keep an eye on the chat. How long have I been doing this? That's an interesting question. I think I started at about 6:30, so about 27 minutes. No, I've been working with other teachers and designers, product designers, art designers, folks that have a lot of interest in how things can be made in weird ways to do things that we do every day for years and years and years. So I'm very fortunate to work with a team of people that are really thinking about, like, how would we tell a story with a machine? And that's why we're very curious about playing and telling stories with stuff. I am not going to make a story tonight. There's too little time for me to really get in and illustrate a story. We've only got this little block of time set aside, but I think that you're going to do a great job. I'm glad that you think this is fun, Lucas. I appreciate you adding that in the thread there. If anybody is having any technical challenges, now might be a great time to ask. Happy to help troubleshoot. Thank you, London. Appreciate that compliment. All right, that's great. Be sure to stay tuned for future awesome things that we're building. I believe that Miss Katie has information about upcoming programs and making sure that you stay connected to the library. Oh, it looks like there's someone else coming up on the screen right now. Calvert Library Zoom camera is online.
You see me, Coach Matt?
Yeah.
Okay, good, because I only see you, so I can't see myself.
Oh, okay. We're all here.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And yes, our next event is 1 month from today. So registration is open. It's December 14th, and we will be making mazes next month.
Yes. It's gravity that we'll be playing with, and the mazes will help us better understand how gravity and magnetism works.
We can't wait.
Right, y'all. Have a wonderful night, and thanks so much. We'll be making stuff soon. Have a great Thanksgiving, and see you in December.
Thank you, Coach Matt.
Bye.
Everyone.